a splash of Phoebe, 2 drops of Prue, the hair of Piper, a tantalizing brew. The Women of Charmed coming up next. Take 3 pretty young actresses.
I think between the 3 of us, we have 50 years on television.
Add a touch of Aaron spelling magic.
We send to you this burning sign.
And a dose of good luck.
I'd go into every project not having high expectations of how it's going to perform. That way I'm not let down.
And you have the perfect potion for TV rating success.
Cute girls kicking butt.
It's Charmed, the WB's enchanting TV series starring Shannon Doherty, Holly Marie Combs, and Alyssa Milano as 3 beautiful sisters who are also witches.
We're not trying to send a huge message out there every single Thursday night. You know, we're not saying like, do this, do that. We're saying, look at us, we're total goofballs, and we're having a blast.
Great! Piper, Phoebe, duck!
We're in a time that's about girl power, you know, and this is definitely 3 very strong women that are fighting evil and trying to save people.
The good news is the spell worked.
I also think witchcraft is you know, just rising, because I think the kids, you know, the traditional religions aren't really holding true for the younger generations.
Ever since we realized we have all these teenage girls and little girls as fans, we've tried to somehow put a moral message in, a family message or a value message in with, you know, our witchcraft.
How can it be good to be witches if all it does is get the people we love killed?
Magical women have long been a part of American pop culture, from the pointy-nosed villainess of The Wizard of Oz to the sexy young witches of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Charmed creator Connie Burge and story editor Robert Masello are trying to update the witchcraft myth for today's audience.
It's not the weapon that makes him powerful, it's part of what Libris has. I had only preconceived notions about what a witch was, and frankly I saw the pointed hat and the wart on the nose. So I bought an inordinate amount of books on the history of witchcraft, everything I could find.
I mean, are you saying that she's holding it back purposely, or that she knows where it is and she's pointing them at it? I must say that Charmed is the only show that has a licensed, fully bonded demonologist, which is me, on staff. And as a result, because I've written books about demonology and the occult and witchcraft, I'm there to answer questions about how a demon would behave. Would he wear a hat to a party? What would he wear after Labor Day or before?
I think with the show we try and base it more on fantasy stuff and not the real Wiccan values, because that tends to inflame a few people. We're either not technically correct enough or we're like too far away from the truth, so it's hard to kind of make everybody happy.
The moment Phoebe says, aha, she's taken by the demon, that leaves Prue and Piper. They have to scramble and they got to figure out. Which still
Executive producer Brad Kern and the show's writers always keep one concept clearly in mind.
Okay, but this is a show about 3 sisters who happen to be witches, not 3 witches who happen to be sisters. And that chronology is important because it tells us what our focus is. It's about the sisters.
In fact, the Halliwell sisters of Charmed are actually based on the real-life sisters of show creator Connie Burge.
I have 2 older sisters, and my older sister Laura is very strong, very driven, and so I attributed the characteristics that my sister Laura has to the character of Prue.
Are you sure you're up for this? I'm sure.
The middle sibling typically tends to be a real people pleaser and very funny, tends to deal with life with a lot of humor. That really applied to my sister Edie, and so I could see the character of Piper.
When we went back to the 70s, we saw ourselves as kids, and now we'll be seeing ourselves walking around 10 years older. Oh, the vanquishing, think of the wear and tear.
Phoebe was honestly the easiest. I just drew from within.
What's the matter? He didn't bleed. He's not bleeding. There's no blood. There's nothing.
Alyssa was just the greatest piece of luck She actually replaced another actor at the 11th hour, and so, you know, lucky. Yeah, I felt charmed.
And we shot the pilot with a different girl playing Phoebe, Lori Rom, who I will say is a great actress. And whatever her personal reasons were for not wanting to continue, I understand. It's really interesting because Alyssa and Lori are so completely different. And the show is completely different because of the dynamic that Alyssa brings into it.
I was just jumping right in. And of course, you know, the dynamic with the other girls, not knowing if the girl that I replaced was their best friend or not. And I knew that the two of them had been friends for a long time, so I was nervous about that. But that lasted all of 6 hours.
We didn't gain any lead time when we had to reshoot parts of the pilot, and fortunately the WB and Aaron were willing to reach in their wallets because it wasn't cheap to reshoot a lot of that stuff.
The investment paid off. TV impresario Aaron Spelling and his partner E. Duke Vincent had another hit on their hands.
But this show had the biggest premiere in the history of the Warner Brothers television network. Now again, how did that happen? Suddenly we're doing a show about 3 young, good witches?
I remember when we were picked up after 2 episodes. By the way, it's never happened to me in my whole career. 2 episodes on the air and they call you and pick you up for 22. Come on. And I called Alyssa and Shannon, got on the phone. And I said, we've been picked up. And they said, what? So we've been picked up for the whole year. And they started screaming.
I think I psyched myself up going, God, we're going to have really bad ratings and, you know, we're on a tough night and blah, 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 blah.
I'm holding the damn phone waiting. And they ran away to scream to the crew, we're picked up for the whole year. And I could hear their voices screaming. The crew started applauding and screaming. A great moment. Really a great moment.
Then the second season, when they moved us to Thursday night, I was like, oh, we're dead, we're killed, we're getting canceled.
And Shannon let the CEO of the WB, Jamie Kellner, know her feelings firsthand.
Shannon called me all upset when we first announced that we were going to move the show, and you know, I remember promising her that the show would do as well or better in the new time period, and so she said, well, I'm going to be watching. And I think right after we got our numbers on Thursday night, I called her, and so she admitted we were right.
I think that we kind of caught lightning in a bottle with the girls and their chemistry. I like to think that we maintained it with good stories and good scripts and good production, but it starts out with the girls.
Some have said Charmed reminds them of another female-driven Spelling hit.
You have 3 attractive women who are doing good things every week. So yeah, I've been told that this feels like Charlie's Angels with broomsticks.
I can see the comparisons, especially when, you know, there's a Charlie's Angels shot of us like all 3 running down the street, and you just feel it. You're like, oh, here's the Charlie's Angels shot. We're 3 girls and it's a spelling show, and we always have great hair and makeup and great clothes, so it's hard not to draw the comparisons. And it was a great show, so it doesn't bother us that much.
Liddy, what are we doing?
We're getting a type 2, you
Help
guys.
me help you.
It's pure entertainment, and we have fun doing what we're doing, and that translates to the audience.
In the next hour, you'll watch the magic happen. Meet Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano, Holly Marie Combs, and their hunky male co-stars. And discover how the writers, producers, and production wizards help these lovely ladies bewitch America each week. So don't go away.